y'all. This is Creative Works by Annie, and it's coffee time. Once again, I posted questions this prior week on my regular Facebook page. So I asked if anybody had some questions about my bone work, if they wanted any more information about it and stuff. So I want to first off to start by saying that I am a multi-medium artist. Most of the stuff you're going to see on my channel is crochet. However, I do work with deceased items. So if you are a little bit sensitive and you don't want to hear about things in that nature, because they are a little bit taboo, please turn it off now, head out, go watch one of the crochet videos, pick up a hook, and go crochet some skulls. But if you want to kind of learn a little bit and open up your mind, then please, 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 stay, watch. You never know. You never know. You might enjoy it, and you don't know. So I had multiple people ask similar questions. One of them, so I'm just going to say thank you to Teresa, a gal that I grew up with since middle school, or I've known since middle school. One of my testers named Yvette, and another wonderful gal named Katie. So thank you for the questions. I'm going to start off, because I don't know how long I'm going to ramble on. I'm going to say Katie asked if I had any footage of me carving. So we're going to do a split screen, and we're going to do some carving over here, and you're going to hear me waffle on and answer questions over here. The first question was, what inspired me to do this type of art? Well, I was already doing pencil art and acrylic painting, because that was one of my first mediums, is a pencil. That and a crochet hook, of course. And so I started posting my drawings in different art groups and skull groups, and a gentleman named Don, aka the Bone Daddy, he seen my work, and he started commenting on it, and he's like, I wonder what you could do with this medium. So he literally threw me a bone. He sent me some skulls and I believe some scapulas, which are the shoulder blades of, I can't remember what animal it was, because it was, gosh, about 10 years ago or so. And so he started teaching me how to clean the bones, process the bones and everything. And then I started posting in the different groups, and I started getting more interest in that, and I started getting more inspired by other people's work. So him and his wife actually owned quite a bit of my artistry, and sadly he passed away a few years ago. Now, what gave me the idea of putting a Dremel to the bone? Well, like I said, I was in a few bone groups, and I seen people that were doing carving and stuff, and I was kind of interested in that. It looked fun. Growing up with my dad doing a lot of woodworking and stuff like that, and home improvements, I kind of just learned a few things from him. But there was a gentleman, which I believe his name was Robert, and he started really pushing me into doing the bone stuff. And so I got myself a Dremel set, and I started working, and this was actually my first bone. You can't really see too much of it. It is a cow leg bone, and it's not a very deep carving. It's actually an octopus. You can't tell. So I showed it to him, and I was so proud. And he's like, Anne, you need to put on your big girl panties and just do it. So I came back a little while later to something like this. And if you can see, it's literally almost like a spring. Okay. Now this isn't my first one. I don't know really what happened to my first one. I don't know if I sold it or gave it away, but this is one of my first early pieces. So after that, I kind of just went and did it. Put on my big girl panties and did it. So next question was, how did I learn to do this kind of stuff? Well, I am mostly self-taught. I learned to draw watching PBS. His name was Captain Mark, I believe. And I want to say Jason Alexander. I can't think of his full name, but I watched a lot of PBS, and so they had a lot of great artists there that taught how to draw. So I picked it up right then and there, and that was basically how I started. Then, but with doing the bone stuff, I took what I learned with the drawing and I incorporated that because you have to draw on the bones before you carve or paint them. So there was another gentleman named Hunter that I learned a lot about the different Dremel bits and how to use them. I'm going to he's kind of retired right now. He's spending loads of quality time with his family, which is where he should be. My kids are full grown, so I can just go full force into the art world. So I'm going to put a link down below to his channel, which is still up and running and is so informative. If you want to get started carving with bones, he will teach you the ins and outs, the different bits, the masks you need to wear, and everything else like that. Please check that out before you even pick up a Dremel and put it to bone. Another person that I learned from was a gal named Jana, and I kind of call her the Martha Stewart of the bone world. She has a blog, and she's very informative. She was always glad to help me out. She actually owns a lot of my artwork too. And she teaches on her blog about preservation of the animals, how to, orange alert. She also teaches a lot about the different laws and ethics, which if you want to start collecting or creating with bones, you really need to go and do research as well, because you don't know, there are some bones you can have and some you cannot have. So it's good to do your research before you really start collecting anything, especially collecting things that didn't quite know how to cross the road properly. So I'm going to put a link down below of her blog, and that way you can learn how to do different processing of the animals and the different techniques and everything to help get you along your way. Let's see. The next one and most frequently asked question I get all around wherever I do a craft show or just in notes is, where do I get my bones from? Well, I'm not a hunter, so I get bones from, I gotta grab my coffee. I get bones from my family members. I get bones from my neighbors, different friends. I will do trade work for bones. I'll trade my artistry for bones and stuff. I've done a lot of crochet work for bones. And I also get them off of Etsy and eBay. I make sure the sellers are legit. I know, and I ask questions. Where did these come from? How were they acquired? Because there are some very unethical ways that these are acquired, and I don't want to be part of that. There, once in a great while, I will pick up some of those little creatures that didn't use the crosswalk properly when they crossed the road. They didn't look both ways. And I actually have a bone cage in the back of my yard. I don't put too many in there because I don't get too many of those little not very good road crossers. So, but I still get some that need a little help in cleaning. So I get them in different ranges of cleanliness. There's some that I have that still have a little meat on them and a little bit of fur. So you have to clean those off. Then there's some that after I get those cleaned and done, I might have to give them a nice long soak in a nice water bath. Then after that, they go into a nice warm bubble bath where there's lots of bubbles. While others might just need just a little bit of degreasing, which then they go into the bubble bath. Then after all that, after they get nice and clean, they go into a nice peroxide bath, which, by the way, never clean your bones with Clorox bleach or boil bones. Once again, please see the link below for Jana Miller, Bone Lust. Okay, she's perfect teacher for anybody that's a newbie on this. Another question was, sorry, more coffee time. What is the most satisfying part of all this, of my work? And I have to say that it's when I take the bones out of the peroxide bath and I lay them in the shade. Never direct sunlight because that's too hot and it cracks down here in North Carolina. And then you have to do a whole bunch of gluing and stuff. It makes just a longer process. But then you come back out and you see these bones and they're so beautifully white and they're so nice and clean, and you get them down to that really wonderful just bone white stage, and that's pretty satisfying to me. Although I will say, when you take stuff out of another bath, and even though it's very stinky and all this stuff kind of sloughs off, that's pretty gratifying too. Let's see. Which also is another question that was asked, what is the most difficult part? And that's the smell. And you have to make sure that during the cleaning process, when you are messing with them, before and even after, when you take them out of the peroxide, you have to make sure that you wear your gloves and masks. You want to be protected because they do carry germs and diseases and stuff, and you want to make sure that you are safe as possible. So it's not a slow process. Okay. Let's see. Oh, last question. I took notes so that way I don't get too lost because there was a lot of information today, and I had to kind of divert around certain words because YouTube doesn't really like them too much, as well as I got a cat over here. Yes. Also, YouTube doesn't like certain words either. So the last question that was asked was, what was the weirdest thing I was ever asked to make out of bones? And that was a gentleman many years ago. He asked if I could make him some Dungeons and Dragons dice. I don't know if he ever got them done because I turned down the commission. He wanted to know if I could make those dice and carve them, and I've never played the game, but I know that the dice are really cool looking. They have multi-sided numbered dice, and he wanted a full set out of his, let me find the right word I used, recently passed away mother's femur. Yeah, I didn't go with that one. I just, knowing what I know about the thickness of bones and, whoop, you playing and dropping stuff? Yep, I think he just grabbed a paintbrush. I was actually working on some skulls today. I forgot what I was saying. Darn cats. Oh, he's got my pencil, not my paintbrush. But knowing, oh, I got it. Knowing what I know about the thickness of different bones to create those out of a femur, there would have been no way I could do it unless I mixed dust with resin and then maybe poured them into a mold and then carved in the numbers. But it was not one I wanted to, not a commission I wanted to have under my belt. So with that, I can show you some of the skulls I was working on today. I did a pretty little cat skull. I don't know if you can see it. Pretty little cat skull. And another little cat skull. I don't know if you can see it very good. Let me grab the other one so you can see that too. And I also worked on a nice little Delft pattern. Okay? This one still needs a little bit of work on it and get sealed up and stuff, but I think that's it for the day. So if you have any questions about any of the artistry I do, please comment down below or watch on Wednesdays when I post my little picture of do you have any questions, and ask away. Just remember, I am graphite artist, acrylic painter, crocheter, and bone worker, and a whole bunch of other stuff in between. So with that, thanks for spending some coffee time with me, and I need to go make some more because I'm down to here. And you have a wonderful day.